And then this is the research flow diagram from the lateral study, and then have a research design, make preparation, and trial experiment, and make some measurement and characterization, and then a conclusion to make a paper. This is the preparation sample equipment. For the sample, we doing milling, cutting, and polishing. For the experiment, we prepare the vacuum pressure for a PLD, power source, laser equipment, process control board, and the sample case. And for our characterization and measurement, we're doing 7 kinds of characterization. For all these 7 characterization, we focus on mechanical properties analysis, chemical analysis, and microstructure analysis. And the experiment itself, the experiment we divide into 2 groups. One group is for 1064 nanometers wavelength, and the other group is for 532 nanometers wavelength. Those 2 groups have their own energy and their own characteristic. And this is the result samples. We have 8 samples. Sample number 1 until number 4 is for the group of 1000 wavelength. And the sample number 5 to 7 is for 500 wavelength. Sample number 8 is the sample without coating as a reference. From the same ADS characterization and measurement, we find that sample number 1 and sample number until number 4 have a fine surface looking, but from sample number 5 to sample number 7 have a coarse surface. And from the chemical analysis, it's found that from sample number 1 until sample number 7, there is aluminum and chromium as the target material, already be a deposit material at the surface of the substrate. From FISAM test, the microstructure showed that the 1064 nanometers wavelength groups have the clear ground boundaries, clear grain boundaries with some amorph structure. But for the 532 nanometer wavelength, the grain boundaries already not clear because some of the surface already melt. From the hardness tester measurement, we found that sample number 1 to sample number 7, which is already coated by PLD, have the average value of more than 500. If we compare with the sample number 8, is below 500 as the origin sample. And if you compare the hardness between 2 groups, 1000 groups and 500 groups, it be seen that the 500 groups is have a value of hardness lower than the 1000. Yes. And this is the wear resistant test. Reference to VDI 3198 test have the rank from each F1 to each F6, with each F1 is the best one. And the result from those 2 groups, all the groups, both groups have the each F1, means have a good addition capability. But for roughness test, the 1000 groups have a more smooth surface than the 500 wavelength groups. The roughness is 0.051 for 1064 wavelength, but for the 532 wavelength, the roughness is already 0.907. So the analysis and discussion is already discussed in the previous slides, but the important point that there's the same finding that another researcher find for the with the different material. For example, Kuhn et al. From 2017. He has also find that the coating hardness decreased because of grain growth due to the increasing heat treatment temperature. The same condition with what we have in this paper, when the 1000 wavelength changed to 500 wavelength, which is the 500 wavelength is more energy than the 1000 wavelength. So the 500 wavelength condition is already melt. And the conclusion and perspective, the PLD process with the parameter used in this study has been proven to produce a coating layer, refer to the chemical analysis, and the study to see the effect of the different laser method by wavelength and energy have found several conclusions that are: 1, the hardness test results shows the 1064 groups tends to be harder than 532. The maximum hardness is 578 hardness figures, while the 532 wavelength only 500 hardness figures. And number two, the presence of aluminum and carbon elements at the surface of the substrate material tends to be increased together with the increasing energy of the laser. But at some energy level, the grain will be melt and make the hardness decline. And about the surface roughness, it has related to the PCM result because of the melt grain phase, the roughness of the surface become higher. The 1000 groups have several sample conditions for melt grain phase when all of the 500 are having melt grain phase. So the 1000 groups has a roughness only 0.051, means a smooth surface, while the 500 have a quite rough roughness in the value of 0.907. So this result is looking for advance for another following experiment, because we want to know about if anyway, is there any gas effect can be improved to property the coating if we put some nitrogen gas and also some heat treatment. Okay, that is all for the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pak Rusman, for your time and your patience with the lack of technical problems. Okay. So, is there any question from the audience, please? No. If there is no one, I will ask the questions. Pak Rusman, can you please elaborate more about how you did the experiment? Because I want to know more about what parameters that you use, and is there any specific condition that should be fulfilled in the running of the experiments?
Okay. Going back to the experimental setup. Okay. At the experimental setup, we can see that the main equipment is the excimer laser, the vacuum chamber. Look at the left picture. Target and the substrate. So the parameters is one about the laser itself. How about the wavelength? What kind of how big the wavelength we choose? In this paper, I used 1064 and 532. This is the parameter of wavelength, and also the energy. Each wavelength have their own energy because the energy level is different. So for 1064 nanometers, I use the 100, 120, and 140 millijoules energy. But for 500 wavelength, I use 70, 90, and 110 energy. That is for the process parameters. And also, actually, this is the research, it's continually research. Before, I have already doing the research using the parameter of the materials. The target materials using, in this case, in this paper, I using aluminum chromium. And I've already done the several kind of composition of aluminum chromium. The composition, I mean. And also the vacuum chamber, the pressure, how vacuum we want to do, and what kind of gas we want to use. That is the parameter.
Okay. I think thank you so much for your explanation and your answers. Please give big applause to Pak Rusman. Virtual applause. Thank you, Pak Rusman. Please stop your share screen. Okay, we will move on to Ibu Titin Nuryawati and Pak Aryo Sunar Baskoro from Department of Mechanical Engineering, when I'm not mistaken. For the paper entitled Rice Plant Nitrogen Concentration Monitoring by Unmanned Aerial Vehicle-Based Imagery. We will attempt to use our own slide at first. I hope there will be no lag anymore. Are you ready? Oh, can you please turn off the share screen, Pak Rusman?
Yes, I'll do it. No share. Set already? No? Not yet?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Bu Titin Nuryawati, the time is yours, please.
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Nuryawati. I'm a master student at the to take this opportunity to rise blood nitrogen concentration monitoring theory. Let me start with some general. Next, please. Next, please. Next. All we know that agriculture sector is the major sector in providing food for the people. Rice as staple food for almost us Indonesian people is a priority product. So
Halo. Kedengaran suara Bapak, itu dia. Bu Titin, are you still there? Putus spasinya, mungkin di chat mungkin ya Pak. Oke, aduh saya nggak punya nomor dia lagi. Oh bukan, maksudnya di chat di Zoom di. Dia keluar. Please wait because Bu Titin is logged out from our Zoom meeting. We will wait around 1 minute for her coming back. Okay, I think we need to skip at first for Bu Titin and we will back again to Bu Titin because her internet was going down. So we will move again to Pak Paulus Setio Nugroho, Pak Yusuf Latif, and Pak Wahyu Wibowo for a paper entitled Conceptual Framework for Fire Safety Management Implementation Strategy to Determine Realistic Fire Insurance Premium Cost. Is there Pak Paulus here?
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, Pak Paulus, please just say next when you want to next the slide. The time is yours.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the time. I will present the result of the study entitled Conceptual Framework for Fire Safety Management Implementation Strategy to Determine Realistic Fire Insurance Premium Cost. My name is Paulus. I'm a student from Civil Engineering Department, Universitas Indonesia. Mr. Yusuf Latif and Mr. Wahyu Wibowo are my promoter and my co-promoter. Next. High-rise building is building possessing more than 8 stories or more than 22 meters in height. The development of high-rise building in Jakarta is growing fast. In 60s, the tallest building is was Sarinah with a number of 15 floors. Now, Gamma Tower with 69 stories. The 10 tallest building in Jakarta all have more than 50 floors. Next. Building are used for office, apartment, hotel, hospital, but high-rise building pose dangers and risks, including fires. In 2020, there have been more than 5,000 events with a frequency of almost 4 a day in Jakarta. High-rise building fires also occur in the world. In 1974, there were fires in Brazil with more than 200 dead. In 2001, WTC building were fired with more than 2,000 people dead or missing. Next slide. Many high-rise buildings in Jakarta have been equipped with the standard fire protection system. However, building fires often occur in Jakarta. In 2018, more than 900 building fire even occurred, causing fatalities of 25 people. And material losses reached more than 1,080 billion rupiah. In previous year, there were more than 40 fatalities, and losses reached more than 400 billion rupiah. Building fires have decreased in the US in the past decade, but losses to loss of life and property increased by more than 25%. Next. Next slide. High-rise buildings are very fast developing. This result potential hazard and risk including fires. Building owners anticipate it by insuring high-rise building. The building owner pays the fire insurance premium. In Indonesia, the cost guidelines are regulated by FSA, Financial Service Authority. However, premium rate between insurance companies are highly varied in magnitude up to 4 times compared to other insurance institutions. Ideally, the insurance premium rate should be balanced and proportional between the risk and the potential benefit. To do this, assessment of building reliability and fire safety should be done. Next slide. The premium rate is depend of function of the building and set within the value of upper limit and lower limit with a certain risk, class 1, class 2, and class 3. Next slide. Insurance premiums affect insurance penetration. Insurance penetration of 3% in Indonesia is low. In ASEAN, the ranking is only number 4 below Singapore, Thailand, and Malaysia. According to some literature, the potential for Indonesian insurance penetration can reach 6%. Next. Fire safety design aims to provide safe building for residents and property, where the safety of residents gets the highest priority. To this end, building must be resistant to initial ignition. When initial fire in a building occurs, building must resist at the state of fire propagation and toxic production. Hence, adequate protected means of protection must be available to protect residents when they leave. An emergency plan should exist, and the resident must be trained in implementing the plan. In addition, there must be a refuge area where temporary residents are safe when exiting is impossible and difficult to do. Next slide. This research is a literature review using secondary data. A number of paper, book, thesis, and regulations were collected and analyzed. The conceptual framework was arranged based on literature of fire insurance premium cost and the implementation of fire safety and fire risk of high-rise building. During literature research, we have been able to collect about 150 pieces. The literature were then filtered, grouped, and explored to develop a conceptual framework connecting fire insurance premium cost, fire risk, fire safety, and variable affecting the implementation of fire safety on high-rise building. Next slide. This is a result and discussion. Conceptual framework in this study consists of 5 input variables that influence the implementation of fire safety management and the cost of fire insurance premium rate. The outcome is the relationship model of these variables. Next slide. Impact of government policy on safety of people. As a building plays the key role related to fire safety and risk management, most of studies involve the understanding on the building regulation, standard, and official guidelines, which have significant impact on the preventive and protective control measures identified in a suitable and adequate fire risk assessment. Next slide. Building fires can cause losses in form of threat on people safety and property loss. To prevent the threat on people life, the government issued a regulation to rule several things such as structural component, exit-way facilities, sign, lighting, and air circulation system during emergency. Structural integrity will provide sufficient time for building to remain stable and prevent the building from failure to enable the resident to evacuate. Appropriate regulation will contribute to the achievement of people safety. Next slide. High-rise building. Okay. High-rise building designed and constructed in accordance with fire safety system will give a good response. Building utilities needs to be well maintained. The government needs to make a policy and its derivative regulation such that fire system work properly during fires. The standard and guidance of the equipment operation in the fire protection system are used by the building manager in the phase of utilization and operation the building. Government policy and regulation will support the goal of losses prevention through monitoring, auditing, and review. Next slide.
Please wait for the lagging.
Okay, no problem. Okay. Fire protection is done in the phase of building construction and operation. A good collaboration among stakeholders is required. Stakeholders contributing in fire prevention during construction phase are building owner by defining the project objective, consultant and construction management by producing detailed engineering design, and implementing the system in the building construction process. In the utilization phase, the important role is played by building management and the resident to maintain the fire protection system such that it function properly to ensure an appropriate housekeeping to prevent initial ignition. Commitment from several stakeholders is needed to realize fire safety design, taking into account regulation and engineering. Next slide. There are 5 tactics availability for architects who are trying to meet the goals of life safety and property protection. The first, prevention, ensuring that fires do not start by controlling the ignition and source of fuel. Communication, ensuring that if an ignition occurs, occupant will be notified and every active fire system is triggered. Third, rescue, ensuring the building residents are able to self-evacuate or be evacuated by fire guard team. Detention, ensuring the integrity of structural component function such that the building doesn't experience failure in certain time. Extinguishing, ensuring the blockade of fire and smoke spreading such that it doesn't grow and it's easily controlled. Next slide. The purpose of monitoring and measuring safety performance is to provide information to the organization about the current status of policy, procedure, progress toward the final destination. In addition to the legal requirement for reporting certain results to the authorities, the regulation also requires employers to make arrangements to monitor and review preventive and protective action. Next slide. The risk management process begins with identifying all emergency potential risks. However, all risks must be managed properly. Company management must always oversee the risk management process and develop strategies to ensure the process is in line with the development of risk. Next slide. Impact of building occupancy on fire prevention. The concept of fire safety must ensure safe escape and safe evacuation in the event of fire in a building. Consequently, it should be warranted that occupant of the building will be able to leave dangerous area without experiencing danger and panic. In case of some people still in the building after the rescue crew arrive, safe evacuation operation must be made possible. Accordingly, exit way analysis is needed in any fire safety concept. Next slide. Characteristic of building resident includes gender, age, health level, recognition level to building room. In emergency situation, or resident with various characteristics should be able to be rescued by the rescue team or self-rescue. The safety of people in the event of fire in building depends on emergency procedure that fully utilize the building fire safety design features and take it into account occupant behavior when faced with emergency situation. Emergency start, a clear signage must be available to direct people to the safe exit way and equipped with suffice lighting and air circulation to prevent residents trapped in poison smoke in the stairs. Next slide, please.
Paulus, I'm so sorry that your time is up. We will move to conclusion section, please.
Okay.
Slide sebelumnya.
Okay. Conclusion, the cost of fire insurance premium is obtained from a long process from the most upstream point, such as government policy, through the issuance of regulation, circulars, and guidelines governing the occupancy of building stakeholders, WBS or building component, and BIM. There is a relationship among variables and insurance premium rate. In connection, I think this is the conclusion. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you very much, Pak Paulus. I would like to ask you a question, especially about the conclusion section. Will you use a statistical modeling for your next work? Because it seems that you try to prove some hypothesis. Is it true or not?
Okay, I will try answer the question. The premium cost model is influenced by policy, stakeholders, occupancy, WBS, building information modeling, and fire safety implementation. The existing condition is of the model according to the FSA or Financial Service Authority or OJK in Indonesia is only influenced by occupancy and part of WBS. discuss the premium rate to vary so that insurance penetration is low. This is a preliminary study. Then the relationship between among variables will be examined to produce a quantitative cost model. This research need further research and need survey of high-rise building, interview with the insurance to get the product. There is a further step. The first breakdown of variable into subvariable and indicators. The second, compiling a questionnaire for the survey process, and then data retrieval to insurance institution and building management, and then portrait the implementation of fire safety in high-rise building, and then a questionnaire process to insurance institution, and need software SAM, structural equation modeling, to process to get the path between variable. And the last is development of mathematical model for premium rates. I think this is the next phase after the first phase.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Paulus, for your answer. Please give big applause to Pak Paulus. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you very much. Okay, we will try again with Bu Titin. Bu Titin.
Yes, sir. I apologize for my connection.
No problem, no problem.
Yes.
Okay, we will start the share screen. Have you seen it?
Yes. Okay.
You please start. The time is yours.
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Let's start into background. We know that agriculture is a major sector in providing food for the people. Rice, a staple food for almost all Indonesian people, is a priority product in our country. We in Ministry of Agriculture always to get a maximum production. One way through fertilization optimization. Recently, we developed the application of unmanned aerial vehicle (UAV) to access remote sensing to monitor the nitrogen content on rice plant. This is the practice of precision of agriculture. And we use this practice to crop nitrogen concentration monitoring to estimate plant nitrogen and develop vegetation indices to improve estimation accuracy. Nowadays, traditionally, we use the leaf chart color that could use to analyze nitrogen status on the leaf of the crop. Then we try to use the combination of ground-based monitoring using this LCC and the low-cost aerial-based imagery using UAV. It's expected to provide new opportunity for Indonesian agriculture. Next, please. Next. The objective of this article is to develop the method of nitrogen monitoring using UAV imagery combined with leaf chart color to estimate plant nitrogen concentration in rice. Next. Next, please. Next. Next, the experimental design, we use 15 plots of plant. Yes, 15 plots of plant that we have 5 treatment with 5 dose nitrogen rates. We did it in the experimental field of Muara Bogor. Next. Then we use UAV to flight data collection. It used DJI Phantom 3 4K. Then it was equipped with a 12.4 megapixel RGB camera which capture high resolution 3000 and 4000 pixel image. Then the camera we modified with a 4K lens and DVI 7 agriculture. They're sensitive to near infrared wavelengths. Then the flight took place on 13 September 2019 between 11 to 2 p.m. in stable condition at altitude 3, 10, and 15 meters above the plane canopy. Next. In addition to the UAV campaign, we also doing the ground measurement using the leaf chart color. It shows the level of the rice leaf, the greenness level of the rice leaf, which indicates the nitrogen content in the rice leaf. The value is 2, 3, 4, and 5. Next. After the measurement, we use this vegetation index. We call the NDVI. It's normalized difference vegetation index to calculate the value of chlorophyll content in the plants. So this value will reflect the condition of nitrogen content on the plant. Next. Yeah, after we get the photo from the UAV, we do the image processing. We do it on a MATLAB program. First, we read the image data, then we count the RGB, red, green, and blue component for its image. Then we calculate the NDVI value. After we got the NDVI value, then we made the NDVI mapping and saw the result. Next. Result and discussion. Next. The NDVI mapping, we use this value. This is the NDVI mapping, transform the LCC value to unique tone mapping. The value is on the picture on the slide. Tone mapping is the process of applying a color to a calculated index value. All images were processed by MATLAB to calculate the NDVI value. Next. Next, please. Yes, next. Yes, this is the result of NDVI mapping. The first image is back to. Please back to the previous slide. Yeah, this image, this NDVI mapping from the image of altitude 3 meter, 10 meter, and 15 meter. The greenness level on the same treatment is slightly different at different altitude. At 3 meter altitude, it looks like more red than others. It means that the NDVI value is slightly different from others. Even in the same suite with a stowed one factor that with head downdraft from the UAV causing rips. Next, please. This is the table descriptive statistic of LCC measurement. We can see the mean value, the mode, and the median is same. It means that the distribution is nice. It means its negative value. It means that the measurement distribution is slightly skewed to the left. We have focused to the coefficient of variation. The value is about 18%. It means on the agriculture, this value is can be considered the measurement is homogeneous or quite good. Next. And then this is the descriptive quantitative of vegetation in this calculation value at 3-meter altitude, 10 meter, and 15 meters. The coefficient of variation is varies from 19% to 17%. It's below 20%, so it means that the NDVI value is calculation are good. Next, please. After we finish in the NDVI calculation, we made a correlation of LCC measurement and vegetation index. We use a person one-tail correlation, and the results are on the slide. Then at 3-meter altitude, we get a negative 0.8. It means that the variable is correlate negatively at but it's strong at 3 meter and weak at 10 meter and no correlation at 50 meter. The nearer the value to 0, the weaker the relationship. Next. The conclusion. Precision farming practice coefficient nitrogen monitoring by UAV remote sensing has been giving us a new insight to increase agricultural output. This study proved a correlation between ground-based nitrogen data obtained through leaf chart color measurement and NDVI. The correlation is negatively strong at 3-meter altitude with correlation at 10 meter and no correlation at 15 meter. The study also indicates that an RGB camera modified with an NDVI filter could be employed to estimate nitrogen concentration on rice plant. This result could be improved by adding the calculation of other indices that have better correlation. Next, ladies and gentlemen, that brings me to the end of my presentation. I'd like to thank you all for your time and attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bu Titin. I will give a chance to audience. Is there any audience that want to ask the questions for Bu Titin? No. If there is any, please raise hand. No. Okay, I would like to ask 2 questions, Bu Titin, actually. So the first of all is there any practical problem when you did the experiment? Because you need to fly up a drone and you need to code something. Can you please tell me about the story about how you did the experiments? That is the first story. And shortly for the second question is how would you explain about the low correlation when the altitude is higher? Thank you. Please.
Thank you for the question. For the first question, this experiment was done by plant some rice plant at the 15 plot with 5 different nitrogen doses. Then we on the date we took the UAV campaign, we took the LCC leaf chart color measurement to measure the greenness of the leaf, and then we took the flight at the stable condition. We try it in a stable condition and no cloud, no rain, and it's stable. The challenge is that the wind on the experimental field is quite big, strong, yes. So it's actually maybe this is also the answer for the second question, that the higher we fly the UAV is the higher the wind, the stronger the wind. Yes, maybe the wind is cause the ripple of the air and the plane that make the image so different, maybe.
Okay, I think it is interesting if you want to elaborate more about that situation, but the time is up. Thank you very much, Bu Titin, for your time. Please give big applause, Bu Titin. Okay, last but not least, our last presenter for this session from Kenya Trideria and myself, entitled Model Conceptualization of System Dynamics for the IPO Process of a Startup by Considering Venture Capital Financings. Kenya?
Yeah.
Can you please turn on your video? Have it?
Yeah. Yes, I have.
The time is yours, please.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Kenia, and today I'm going to be presenting a research conducted by Mr. Ramadhani Ardi and I about model conceptualization of system dynamics for the IPO process of a startup by considering venture capital funding. So, during this presentation, I will be explaining the background for this research, the literatures we are using, the method used for this research, and I will also be explaining result and discussion of this research. And in the end, there will be a conclusion. Next. So now let's just jump right into the discussion about startup. As we know that startup companies grow more quickly nowadays, and many news are talking about startup. So what is a startup actually? Here I refer to Kalopa et al. Mentioning that startups are new type of business, open organizations, and partnerships that are usually, but not necessarily, related to the technology. Startups are designed to face a repeatable and measurable dynamic situation of business and might develop into more significant and quantifiable startups. And the technology or IT startups, as new technology-based companies, are defined as temporary organizations that can create innovative products or services using technology. Since the startups are designed to face a repeatable and measurable dynamics business, so this kind of company is related to uncertainty and risk scenarios, which are shown by their high mortality rates as a result of high risk in the startup system. Next. So in Indonesia itself, we have seen many startups established in this country. Let's say Kopi Kenangan, Dana, OVO, and etc. Why there are so many startups exist in Indonesia nowadays? Along with the increasing number of internet users in Indonesia, as we can see from the left chart, it has a really significant increasement in which this graph actually shows us the number of internet users in Indonesia is more than half of the Indonesia's population. Then this changing of lifestyle where people tend to use internet in the daily basis creates an opportunity for the digital economy. As we can see that there is a phenomenon of business trends where many stores have now become online or digital, which means that many companies move to develop the digital aspects. So that is why there are almost over 600 startups existing in Indonesia in the year 2018, which increased from years to years. Next. The startup itself has an aim to grow because its main strategy is to grow by creating markets and become competitive by having a competitive advantage. One of the most important things in business is funding to support the operational business. So this research will analyze the startup system using system dynamic simulation model, which has a substantial impact on advancing the theoretical understanding of the entrepreneur growth strategies to explain and support managerial decision making. So next. Next. There are some topics of literature needed for this research, which are the literature about startup, venture capital, initial public offerings, and the system dynamics. Next. Okay, so as I have mentioned before about the definition of startup, we can skip this and next. Okay, the venture capital is in a company is an essential thing to help the sustainability of a business. Usually before investing to an exceedingly new company or startup, the private capital parties or analysts will do an in-depth analysis before making a certain decision because the company will face a high rate of risk. So they will have to make a careful decision before investing. Meanwhile, there is another option of funding, which is by doing the initial public offerings because going public will give opportunity for the company to gain capital from the stock exchange market. Next. And the system dynamic itself is a method designed to help us learn more about the structure and the dynamics of a complex system. So this approach is used since the startup companies involve many actors who have different behavior and goals changing over time. The system dynamics can help predict the behavior patterns of these actors. Next. Yeah, and next we're gonna move to the method. So method that that is used for this research is building a simulation model with system dynamics by developing causal loop diagram and to understand the relationship between variables in the systems and create systems diagrams that will illustrate the relationships between input, output, and the stakeholders involved in the systems. Next. Next. We're gonna see the result and the discussion. Next. So here we can see the conceptual model where the goal by the startup itself is to make the startup become profitable and meet the IPO requirements, which is being profitable for the last 2 years before going public. There are two input variables to the systems, which are the increasing customers for the startups, government regulations, and economic growth. And the output of the system itself is to achieve profit and become IPO. To achieve this, there are some strategies by doing IPO and conduct more efficient capital that increases human creativity more effectively. And the stakeholders are the government, other startups, and also the partners. And the verification for the model has been conducted using Fansim PLE, and the validation has been conducted by doing interview to the experts in the startup. So next. Here we can see the causal loop diagram of the startup dynamic system. We can see the relationship between variables in the system, but for more clear visualization, we're gonna see each loops. So next. Okay, the first loop is the paid growth engine, where we can see that the company is using funding strategy to develop the business process. The process consists of cash funding that might come from account receivables, capital stocks, and reduced by the expenses. This cash will then become the source for marketing budget. By doing marketing, there will be some potential customer that will trigger the product service order required by the customer. Then there will be process for making the product service. After business process, there will be revenue gained by the company and become profit that will increase the company's case. Next loop. So this is the loop of stuff needed. Continuing from the previous loop, there are some similar process in which the process starts from the cash to marketing budget to the potential customer, which triggers the product service order required. And from the product service required, of course, the company needs a resource to fulfill the demand. In this case, there will be total staff needed to fulfill the order request, which will cost the staff cost, and this will reduce the profit gained by the company. Next. So the next loop is the viral growth engine. This is one of the main strategy of a startup to increase the potential customer. From the potential customer itself, they will use the product service provided by company. Then some of them who feel satisfied with the product service, then they will recommend it to their family, to their friends, and this will create additional potential customer. Next slide. Okay, this is loop of sticky growth engine. The loop of sticky growth engine consisting the company's reputation as one of the major factors that a startup needs to consider because it will give impact to the startup. This loop shows that all of the increased customer demand will increase the company's reputation, which will have an impact on increasing other potential customers. Next. So this is loop of assets depreciations because every startup must have assets to run its business, and the value of the assets will experience shrinkage during the time. The increase in the company staff will undoubtedly increase the required needs, which are marked by an investment budget that will add value to the company's assets and increase the depreciations. Fill up the company's assets, which will reduce the company's profit. Next. So this is the loop of business costs, in which the costs arising from the business process from the activities to meet customers' demand will increase the total cost and reduce profit. As the business will have costs to produce its product or service, then this loop becomes one of the essential considerations in which the cost should not be over to the benefit that a startup can gain. Next. Okay, this is loop of innovation. So I have categorized staff into 3 big groups based on the interview, which are the research and development groups consisting of people who try to develop the companies by creating innovations, business analysts, corporate strategy, and etc. And the second group is sales staff, consists of sales and customer service. And the last group is the operational staff, consisting of departments dealing with the business operational, such as accounting and finance, human resource, and etc. So the importance of the innovation in startup the staff of the R&D, sales, and operational divisions will increase productivity in developing innovative product features that can increase potential customers and increase customers' demand. Next. So the last loop is the IPO process. The interaction in the IPO process starts once the company gains profit for 2 years before going public to gain more capital funding for stock exchange market. Startup gains its profit by doing its business, and after startup has gained its capital from capital stock by doing initial public offerings, the startup can improve its business. So next. Next. The last one is the conclusion. Next. Okay, this research found that the startup must be able to identify the dominant factors that play a role in their strategy to develop and help companies to find the right approach to grow and achieve profits as quickly as possible within their reinforcing feedback loop to be able to sustain. The submodels that are essential for a startup to achieve profit and be able to execute IPOs by making the right strategy for the company to gain benefits for a minimum of 2 years as the regulation for the IPO process in Indonesia. The strategy needs to take essential submodels into account. There are 8 submodels, which are paid growth engine, staff-needed, viral growth engine, sticky growth engine, asset depreciation, business cost innovations, and the IPO process itself. The submodels help company gains the proper practice of business as it will help the company achieve profit. I think that's all from my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kenia, for your presentation. Because I'm one of the authors of this presentation, is there any one of you that want to ask the questions, please? No? Okay. Can you please share, Kenia, about perhaps you have found it in your research, what is the main reasons that the startup in the reasons?
Sorry, sir, I cannot hear your question.
Kenia? Kenia,
Yes.
Did you hear my question beforehand?
No, sorry, sir, I didn't hear your question.
Okay. Based on your research, what did you found about the reasons why many startups failed in the first years?
Okay, so your question is about why startups fail in their first years? Am I correct?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, correct.
So based on my research from the literatures that I've read and also from the interview that I have conducted to the expert, they said that most startups they don't do a proper budgeting, so they tend to spend a lot of money without considering the right strategy, so that they can achieve the money. So they only try to get more customers, and they expend a lot of money into it, but the strategy is not the right strategy.
Okay, we still, so there is an audience that raise hand, please, Mbak Nadila. Okay.
Okay, thank you. I want to ask, is there any startup company in Indonesia that has gone public by implementing the IPO? And also, do you think there is any disadvantage of IPO? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the questions. So, is there any startup in Indonesia that has gone public with the IPO? Well, in Indonesia itself, there has not been a startup that has implemented the IPO because there is no startup in Indonesia that has achieved profit because they still experience loss in their financial management. And for the next question, is there any disadvantage of the IPO, I think it's not disadvantage, but it's something that they have to take, because when a company decided to go public, they need to share their money, because they will have to give dividends to the stakeholders, to the people who buy their sharings, and the percentage is also decreasing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Nadila. Thank you, Kenya, for your presentations. Please give big applause for Kenya. Okay, I think all of the presenter has present their research. Therefore, I want to thank you very much for all of the presentation presenter, Pak Arif Bagus, Pak Ferdinandus, Pak Rusman Kosasi, Bu Titi Nuryawati, Pak Paulus, dan Kenya atas for the time that you spent today. So thank you very much. We still have one keynote lectures around 2 o'clock, 2:10. Okay, so please turn on your video because we want to have a nice photograph of screen cap. Can you please turn on your video, all of you? Okay, no problem. Please, 3, 2, 1, cheers. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for your time. I remind you that there is still another keynote speech around 10 past 2 o'clock. So please enter the Zoom room for this particular meeting. The presenter will the presentation will entitled Intelligent Process Management of Customer Specific Products from Professor Dr. Ing Holger Kohl from TU Berlin. So thank you very much for coming to these sessions, and I apologize for some internet problem happens before. Thank you and have a good times. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.